Hey, friends and fam, it's John. This is JMART Cast, and today I've got a special guest, Laserman, joining me again for a second round. If you haven't heard the first episode with him, go check that out if you want to hear a little bit of the background on Laserman, also known as SHA-256.
Yo,
But
yo.
at the end of that episode, he was giving us a little bit of a hint as to a project that he might be working on with regards to Bitcoin, and that time has come for him to reveal what the project is. I've actually used it, and so I'd like to talk about it some more, but I don't want to take too much time away from him actually just talking about it. So, Laserman, welcome back to JMART Cast. First of all, how are you? And tell us what the grand idea is.
Thanks, brother. Great to be back on your show. Great to be reconnecting with your audience and doing a sequel to that first one we did, which was a while ago. So I've just been getting more and more people involved with the Bitcoin cypherpunks, as I'm the founder of that. So
That's our
that's been
Telegram
growing.
group.
Yeah, and it's like it's transcended a bit beyond Telegram now. We're kind of everywhere. We're scattered across multiple platforms, and lots of word of mouth, and in the real world as well. And lots of people that don't even go online; they just stay, they stay underground. Also, in terms of what I've been working on with that grand reveal that we talked about in the previous episode, but now we're here. It's called Gotoshi.ca. So that platform enables you to go on to our web app and purchase any physical good and ship it Canada wide for Bitcoin. Main chain and Lightning supported, so both of them.
That's amazing,
It's
man. I'm
Thanks, bro.
so impressed that you were able to get that project up, get it going, and launch it and start it. And I've used it, and I had a positive experience going through the whole experience of starting the order to receiving it and everything being just fine. So,
Thanks,
uh,
bro. I
how did you
appreciate
come
that.
up with this idea? Where did it come from? Tell us about the seed to the idea and how it all kind of started and came together.
Of course, yeah. It's not it's a very simple model. Like send your Bitcoin, get your stuff. That's it to your front door for the most part. Everything ships Canada wide except for the one store, which is Gotoshi Direct, which is the one I manage. That's just GTA wide. So I don't want to like mislead anyone into thinking that every single thing ships Canada wide. It's just everything except Gotoshi Direct. You'll be able to see that on the store. It's quite obvious to see which one that is and pick it out. Thanks, by the way, for all the positive feedback with your experience. So how it started and what was the spark and what led us here was a lot of people already kind of know that I had been getting small business owners to get in on the Bitcoin scene from last summer.
Yeah, we talked about it in the first episode.
Right, yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I came across a gentleman by the name of Cliff Peskin. He's the co-founder over at Gotoshi. Then we had a couple of phone discussions, and we spoke about what we both wanted to do in the space and whatnot. I showed him what I had done previously. He liked it. I obviously was a huge fan of his work. He'd been over at Buzz Home, which is now Livable, and sold the company and had some great success with that. And then we met up at Yorkdale and we had like our first like kind of like preliminary meeting about what we want to do going forward. We sat down and we really, racked our brains and mulled over some ideas that were like very like prototypey, like, just, throwing darts at a wall type thing with no real target in mind. And then we kind of gelled and came to the conclusion that it would be best to tackle cyberspace and create a bridge for, I want to say, e-commerce stores to interact with Bitcoin and receive Bitcoin as payment and ship out any products that they want to garner profit off of via the payment network being Bitcoin as opposed to traditional fiat rails and credit cards and debit and what have you.
Mhm.
So then we set out on that adventure. And from that point on, we started growing, and having daily meetings about how we're going to execute, how we're going to do our day-to-day operations, how we're going to have everything organized and be able to logistically handle this and build out the development team and get all that orchestrated to make it happen. And really, so much of this has come as a result of Cliff Peskin, my co-founder. He's had like so much stewardship and so much say about how we should go forward, and so much ideas and so much innovation that I like piggybacked off of to get us to this point. And then I had my contributions with getting people orange pilled, getting people involved, getting stores to actually go and post their goods on our site. So that
Yeah.
was predominantly my job. But then I also had to take like the crash course in WooCommerce, Dokkan, Figma, all types of like just Trello boards, just
Right.
cool stuff like this. Like getting the little I want to call it like the extremely tiny YouTube tutorial version of being able to control a website on the back end. And I don't know whether or not I excelled in that or I screwed it up, but I hope I did a decent enough job to get us here. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn a lot of those new tools, and I did that to contribute to the project. And just like really wearing multiple hats, myself and Cliff included. And we're really proud of what we achieved, because typically making a multi-vendor marketplace requires boatloads of money and years of work. We're able to accomplish it and execute it and roll it out in 6 months. So we're glad with what we accomplished and what we did, and we're really looking forward to continuing to contribute to the ecosystem of Bitcoin and Bitcoiners and cypherpunks alike. And I think this is something that everyone can partake in, and everybody can see what Bitcoin can manifest with ease now via our platform. And that's what I had mentioned in a previous interview, but I wasn't able to speak on it necessarily because it
Mm-hmm.
was a little hush hush stealth mode. But now I can like openly talk about it and bring it out into the public. And I'm really glad that we've had you along for the ride, because I think it's like you've been a supporter of ours and we've been a supporter of yours, and I love working with people like you, and I'm glad you're helping us get the word out.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. I haven't done anything to contribute to Gotoshi. That's all you and your partner, and you guys have done an amazing job. Like I said, like you already said, like it's kind of amazing to have so many different vendors all together under one umbrella, and kind of the job you guys have done. Like it sounds like you've had a real period of growth, learning all these, like you were naming all these platforms, or I guess online platforms or software that enable Gotoshi to exist and to be able to do the things that it does, which it
Yeah.
like is basically a nice, great online marketplace where you can search for everyday regular grocery store items and yeah, have them delivered right to your door. And it's just like in many ways you like it could be comparable to like I guess Amazon like in a certain way, because like you have like an option where you have a certain amount of items that you purchase where you get free shipping, which was nice. I really like in this day and age you kind of almost have to have that to be competitive, so I'm glad that that was there, and I think many customers using Gotoshi will enjoy that as well. The other thing I wanted to mention about like the positives that I had from kind of using it myself was the one thing that I really liked is that when you see the prices for the items, the taxes are already calculated into the final price, so you don't have to like think about that. You're just like, okay, it is what it is. I already know,
Right.
which is kind of nice. I don't know why other people don't do that.
Yeah, because they wanna tax harvest you. So boom, surprise. By
Yeah.
the way, this is being tacked on. And it's
Hmm.
like, okay, I'd prefer to know prior to checkout as opposed to after, because then I might decide to just say, screw this, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's harder to like once you make the decision, it's harder to change your mind, right? So if you see a small number, it's easier to commit. Nice
Yeah,
little trick there.
yeah. That's how they get you.
Hmm. But yeah, man, that's pretty cool. So this
Thanks
is
for the
it.
positive feedback, man. I love it.
Yeah, and then tell me more a little bit about like the so there's all these vendors, and then you're one of the vendors yourself. You're Gotoshi Direct, and you're the one that's delivering to GTA only, and kind of I think that's basically the service that I used, right? Is that right?
Correct, yeah. We do have a couple of other guys that move our stuff around as well.
Hmm.
Um, But to tell you a little bit about the vendor side of things, it just comes down to calling them and telling them, hey, you need to be part of this financial renaissance. You need to be a part of this revolution.
Mhm.
And communication takes form in many different ways. It's knocking on someone's door, it's giving them a phone call, it's meeting them in person, it's meeting them through friends, mutual friends, whatever, and saying, hey, why don't you get involved with this? And then 90% of people are going to say no, and no just means next opportunity. So you got to get used to that.
Mhm.
You got to develop a thick skin if you're going to be in this game. And also, I think to keep it, you have to just be able to keep it very simple for uh, the people that are doing the day-to-day operations in these small businesses. They don't, for the most part, they don't care about Bitcoin like that. They're not like as in tune with, hey, oh my God, I'm gonna change financial rails and I'm gonna make everything so much more inclusive and uncensorable and blah 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 XYZ. They're
Mhm.
just like, it's money, I can get
Mhm.
paid.
Mhm.
Okay, let's rock and roll. And I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, cool. So there's a bit more that goes into it than that because sometimes people need a bit of hand holding and understanding and how to use these technologies. But for the most part,
Mhm.
it, I think that most entrepreneurs are just like, I can get more eyes on my products. I can get more profits from my products. Sure, why don't I just dive in and give it a try and maintain and manage this new relationship? And some people are receptive to that, some of them aren't. But I just
Mhm.
really like the idea of creating this, I want to say, it's kind of like it's a haven for us Bitcoiners to go and get away from traditional financial controls
Mhm.
and say, hey, I don't necessarily have to turn in my credit card and have my
Mhm.
debit ready and have the best credit score or have the best banking and also dox myself like crazy to get goods delivered to myself. I can just go a different, easier, less friction route. And
Mhm.
I think that's what like Gotoshi like really delivers to people and gives them the chance to do that. And I'm like, okay, so we're like us, we're offering a bit of respite here for both Bitcoiners and vendors alike, where I'm not
Mhm.
going over vendors with a fine tooth comb the way a traditional institution might. To be like, hey, you think you're gonna deal with finances? You think you're gonna deal with your finances through us, and we're not gonna give you a full blown screening? Like,
Mhm.
do you qualify for a business credit card? What's your
Mhm.
credit score like?
Mhm.
What's your
Mhm.
how's your mortgage looking these days, etc. Before they go ahead and say, yeah, okay, we'll give you a business credit card, we'll give you a line of credit, we'll give you a leasing opportunity for your brick and mortar, whatever it is. So they're used to being extremely questioned before they can get their foot in the door to do business. But we're more like, hey, you know what? That's not so necessary. As long as you have good enough reviews, you have good customers, you're on point with people getting their stuff, then we're more than willing to do business with you. But if we find out that you're not living up to customer expectations and people aren't happy and you have a bad reputation, then we won't do business with you. So this is like really a way to create inclusivity, like inclusivity for everyone. So that vendor buyer and our really Gotoshi's relationship is like really really like it's like a triangle, you know what I mean? Like everyone is contributing to each other and helping one another um thrive in this ecosystem, and we can do it. We just have to band together and have a really coherent way on how to do it going forward, and it can be mutually beneficial for all parties.
It sounds like you're doing your best to align incentives, right, between those three parties that you mentioned. And this is a theme throughout Bitcoin in general, is that the reason why it works is there's an aligned incentive model between all the participants. So I'm really glad to hear you mirror that in the business that you're setting up.
Yeah, I do my best. It is a niche market. It is a small market, but there's plenty of room for growth and potential in it because I think people kind of see this end goal, and like even what you mentioned earlier, like the Amazon of Bitcoin. Yeah, that's the ambitious thing. That would be like the big grand vision for it and place for it to end up. Like I think we're in that incubator, beginner level, micro stage where we're like trying to scale up to this behemoth level retailer, online retailer, and create a system outside of the system. And we're taking like the right strides and steps in the right direction. It's just how will the market react? Is there a market fit? Will they grow exponentially to that level? The viability remains to be determined, but hey, we're making progress and we have some headwinds, but we also got some tailwinds.
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's this whole process, and obviously, if it's a small niche market, that means there is room for it to grow. And it's just this culmination of different processes all happening at the same time, right? Like all these vendors slowly getting orange pilled by you initially, and then later on being convinced that maybe it's even good for them to not only be orange pilled in like hodling Bitcoin, but also providing their services and goods and trying to accept Bitcoin for all those things as well. That's a process. There's a process in your Gotoshi slowly growing and become from being an idea to then being in this startup kind of phase like you're talking about, and potentially having the opportunity to get bigger and bigger. There's the process of you learning how to like start this thing, and yeah, it's so actually inspirational to kind of hear it happen in real time.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know, like I do it for people like you. I do it for people like me. I do it for Bitcoiners. I do it for people that are stuck in the matrix of TradeFi.
I forgot what I was
Um,
going to say, but it just came back to me, and it's kind of like you do it because there's a need for it also, not because us Bitcoiners, we first of all want to support other Bitcoiners if they have quality goods and services that they're producing, like and and by using Bitcoin as a medium exchange, we're gonna add to its utility, and that's only gonna be positive in the long term. So it's great that people are working on that, and I know someone who's working on it like directly, right, like in the trenches on the battlefield, like in the front lines.
yeah, man, it's great to be a builder. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of people with word salad out here in Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin needs more people talking. I think Bitcoin needs like actionable action where it's like, okay, you're actually doing something in space, you're actually creating volume, you're actually creating something. And I think that's where we're at that stage now where we've had our like first decade of people hodling and doing this and that and just talking about Bitcoin, but now we need to like make it function as money itself. And money has many different forms. It's not just meant to hodl, it's checking and savings. You should be able to spend it. It should be transactable with small stuff, including coffee. So it should be able to buy you both a house and a cup of coffee. And if it can't do both, well, then it might have failed as money.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be like very, very cognizant and like aware of what's happening around us to have the right approach going forward to make this thing actually work. Because if we don't do it, if us Bitcoiners don't do it, nobody else is going to be a trailblazer and do it on our behalf. So we really got to make sure that we're on point and at this place where we
Mm-hmm.
are in time.
Yeah,
Also,
and
I wanted to point out to the audience that I'm wearing my sunglasses indoors at nighttime today because I actually I was doing interviews without them on, and my laser eyes just started like blasting everywhere, like damaging my house and my computer and all that, scaring audiences. So yeah, I realized I'm like what's that guy from? I'm like
from
Cyclops from
X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like as soon as
X-Men.
these babies come off, it's just I don't know how much truth there is
Hilarious.
to this comment I just made because I think I did adjust my glasses earlier and like my eyes were shown during the interview and nothing happened. So let's just
this
let's
this
not
is
pay attention to that part of the interview.
this is a great use of our free 40 minutes of Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
okay. We'll edit out the part where I lifted my shades up. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Our original platform, Riverside failed me, so we had to resort to Zoom. But anyway,
Okay.
what I want to kind of maybe close out this interview on. Let's talk a little bit like about the benefits of using the platform for the customer, because I definitely, like I already mentioned what I found, like I found that I had a positive experience, but like just kind of tell me more about like, because you provide Canada wide shipping, so that's great. Like I think that obviously makes it that the number of clients that could be Gotoshi clients quite a lot larger. So that's a positive. But tell me more about like the experience. Like I shared mine, but like what you expect the experience to be like for a customer, typical Gotoshi customer. And then I kind of want to finish off on what are like some of the marketing kind of ideas you have for the next upcoming while, because you just released this, so now we got to get the word out.
Yeah, we're not even fully out of beta yet, but yeah. So experience wise for the customer, I think it's like a really good positive feedback loop in a sense of when you do it, the number one thing feedback I get from customers is that it's fun and it's like exciting to actually see their Bitcoin manifest. So it's not such an esoteric idea anymore. It's not just a bunch of keys stored away in your head. You're seeing the fruits of your labor come forth, I almost want to say. And it's just like it's very like seamless. It's easy. The benefits being as in compared to like going to like an Amazon or an Etsy or wherever else, or eBay or wherever you go and buy your wares from, is you're buying it from a place of, I almost want to say, you're supporting an ecosystem that can actually change the world. And you're being somebody who's like emboldened and different and actually stepping out of the system of going the regular route to get your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when you troll that and those feelings and those emotions uh and those little tidbits of facts of, hey, you know what, I'm no longer in this like in this silo where I'm usually used to buying my stuff from, and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm actually being in almost like a subconscious way a builder in the Bitcoin space because you're creating volume in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this like self-rewarding type of like act, or like when you go to these other uh platforms, you're like a sacrificial lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean that in the sense of they're charging you for credit card fees. There's an annual fee. There's a hey, are you capable of using this platform? Or where we have to check your worthiness, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Plus, we
okay,
get all your data for free, by the way.
yeah, and like we're also we're just totally um uh throwing your privacy to the side, and we're gonna violate every right you might think you have. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you just avoid all that stuff and just go over to Gotoshi, because we don't pride ourselves or try to do those things. We don't pride
Mm-hmm.
ourselves on trying to extract every little piece of information from you and make sure that you've got all your ducks in a straight line in order to be able to buy from us. We don't care about that. You want to broadcast money to buy goods? Do it. Go for it. It's all yours. It's yours for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to like that's where we want to be able to be different compared to the rest of the market.
It's
So
it's it's great that you say that, man. It's like that's so what I felt. That was the experience I had. Like, uh, one of the things I bought, just a random grocery thing, was um, nuts. I bought this mixed can of nuts, and then as I was eating it, like I was like, I paid for this thing and nuts with Bitcoin. Like I was so happy that it wasn't just regular money that was paid for this, and I was getting to enjoy it. And then
yeah,
I was having it with some friends, and I told them about it, and they're like, "Ah, John, you're so funny with your Bitcoin." But I'm like, this is real food that you're eating right now.
there you go, right? It's like, dude, like it tastes like Bitcoin. And it's like and it's like and it just always boggles my mind. Like we have this platform that you can buy everything. Like we have the essentials department, so like there's lots of stuff on there that I know, as frugal as you might want to be, as minimalistic as you might want to be, there's something there that's basically there like for almost, I almost want to go as far as to say everyone can find something on Gotoshi, at
Yeah,
least in the
totally. I didn't
essential.
have a hard time finding enough stuff to buy like
Yeah,
$50 worth of stuff to get that free shipping.
right. And if you're already buying that and you're already a Bitcoiner, like, don't you want to give credence to this thing you believe in? Because a lot of people toot their horn about Bitcoin, but then like a normie or whomever that is not orange pilled or not interested, ask them, okay, well, what can I buy with it? And then they get a little stumped. And I'm like, well, then why don't you just show them about what you can do with it? Via this web app, and like, and now you'll be able to just stop them in their tracks when they come up with it, when they come with that rebuttal of it's not money because I can't buy anything with it. Don't
That's
you kind of want to prove that that's not the case necessarily?
that's totally what I'm gonna do. I have a friend who has been a big stopping point. He's like, okay, but like show me what you can actually buy with it. And I'm like, all right, like there's these websites and stuff, but it's like not the same as just being able to be like, here's this can of nuts right here, like have it. You know what
All
I
right,
mean?
yeah, because prior to that, like, what was available to buy with Bitcoin? Bitcoin stickers from like some guy in the
Bitcoin
UK,
t-shirts, like it's
a
just like,
Bitcoin
yeah, this
t-shirt,
makes a lot
and
more
half those guys
sense.
aren't even taking Bitcoin for it. So they're LARPing and they're just cosplay Bitcoiners. Like, how can I pay you? It's like, you give me some fiat,
Mhm.
or give me this altcoin, this shit coin or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, I thought you were a Bitcoiner. I thought you were, like, I thought you were trying to build up the one true sound money that doesn't bankrupt and screw people up. So are you living by your actions, or are you just here because, well, most people are just trying to use the banner and moniker of Bitcoin because it's like that blanket of like, it's a shield for, hey, I'm legitimate because it's the only legitimate thing in the space. But if that's true, and that is what you believe in, and that's what you're beholden to, then why aren't you opening up these bridges and these portals for us to give you satoshis and give you Bitcoin in exchange for whatever it is you're shilling or selling or putting out their services XYZ? You should be accepting Bitcoin for your stuff, and if you're not, then are you a Bitcoiner? I would not consider you eligible to be one if somebody asked me, but we don't have to worry because we give a pretty kosher experience. It's Bitcoin, like Bitcoin for stuff, and that's just the bottom line, right? And now you can see how you no longer have to placate to these people who are like, hey, wait a second, it doesn't function as money because I can't buy simple things with it. Actually, now you can. You can go on Gotoshi and buy deodorant.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
there you go.
diapers.
There's and diapers. You
Bitcoin for
know,
diapers. Good trade.
Bitcoin for diapers, you know what I mean? So you can be providing for your little ones and your family and all that stuff on the Bitcoin economy, building out the Bitcoin circular economy, and being different and being bold and
Mhm.
being daring and building out this system that needs to be built out from Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners, so the next generation doesn't have to deal with the side effects and the negative implications of centralized currency, fiat,
Fiat money.
credit bubbles, recessions, XYZ, right? There's no
Mhm.
such thing as a silver bullet. Gotoshi's not going to fix everything in the world. However, I do think it's a really strong step in the right direction for us as this new tribe. We're really young. We're like, what, 15 years old, Bitcoin itself. So, we have
Mhm.
to carve out our path. But if we don't carve it out the right way, then nobody's going to save us from ourselves.
Absolutely. Amen, brother. All right, let's finish off the last 5 minutes as I see the time ticking down for the 40-minute timer.
Uh-oh.
About like what's coming up for like the promotions of Gotoshi, like the marketing. What are you guys working on? How are you spreading the word
That's
besides
it. We're
like
closing up
JMART
shop. We're
cast?
throwing in the towel, man. This was a bad idea from the word go. Toshi, nah, I'm messing around. So going forward, we are in revenue. We are making sales. They're coming
Mhm.
in, which is good. So the Bitcoiners have showed up to support us. We've only been around for a month. This is like very like in the short term, this is how it's looking, and that's great. You know what I mean? Because it can look grim when you do e-commerce in the world. Most e-commerce sites, based on my research, don't even get their first, and I'm talking about one sale, just one hit. It takes them a month to months to get one sale because it's like a really competitive place. And are you getting the right eyes on your product? And this is a very like multi-factored reason why these things happen. So there's no like, just oversimplification reason as to why things work or don't work. It's layered. But with us, we have been lucky enough to get traction early on. And we want to continue to ride this wave. We want to continue to push it out there. We want to continue to get recurring buyers. We want to continue to get revenue going and getting new customers, acquiring new customers, and getting new people orange pill and all this stuff. And we have all these ideas kicking around. And we're really just exploring all possibilities right now to see what works and what doesn't. Because we're in the early enough stages where we're like, okay, let's try like a SEO. Let's try to put ourselves on Google advertisements. Let's try to have some influencers talk about Gotoshi. Let's ourselves try to talk about Gotoshi. Let's run this marketing campaign. Let's do that. And in that uncharted territory, in these exploratory ways that these methodologies we're using right now in the here and now, we're having some hits and some failures. Like it's okay, what was the ROI on this? Well, did we get any customer retention out of this? Did we get somebody new? Did we not get somebody new? Did we lose somebody out of this strategy? So there's all these like markers coming in, and you just have to be like really, really ready and you have to be objective and be able to read this data structure and be like, okay, unpack it the right way and say this works, this doesn't, and this is how we have to pick and choose where our wins are and our losses are. And we're going to be spearheading, I would say, in the short term, we're going to be spearheading some more and more cool marketing stuff and promotions and all that. And I would seriously advise everyone to look out for it because I think it's going to be really fun and a hell of a ride. So check it out.
Where should people check it out?
Gotoshi.ca, and we're also on Twitter at Gotoshi21, and I'm sure the links will be underneath this video so they can just click away and
Awesome.
Join the revolution and try it out, because I think you'll be quite satisfied if you do.
Yeah, trade your Bitcoin for real stuff that you will use in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, trade might not be the best word, because then people think that we're traders and all this, and that's the only way you can turn a profit. No, just use your Bitcoin as money and buy stuff with Bitcoin, and also save with Bitcoin, and also hodl your Bitcoin and do everything with Bitcoin, because it's more than one thing.
Absolutely. Thank you for correcting me. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, man, this is awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing this Gotoshi platform with the listeners, and really sharing this kind of larger idea about like, because Bitcoin is this silent revolution, not silent, sorry, non-violent revolution, right? Just through the simple act of voting with your money, but voting with specifically this kind of money, you're like participating in this non-violent revolution, and bringing the world closer to a place where we, like you said, can just stay away from the harms of fiat money.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. That's the time, I guess.
Thank you
again.
So much, brother. Yeah. Great being here. Great talking to you.